Before the national park quarters, before the statehood quarters, before Washington was even on the quarter, where did our coins come from? Young America was a melting pot of not only people, but their money. Without an official national currency, each state used different types at different exchange rates. The only standard coin was the Spanish milled dollar, issued by Spain. Under the Articles of Confederation, Congress had the authority to mint coins for the new country. In February of 1782, they allowed for the establishment of a U.S. mint and put Robert Morris, the superintendent of finance, in charge of operations. With the help of Governor Morris, no relation, he proposed the first decimal coinage system ever conceived. It was divided into 1/1440th of a dollar in order to divide evenly into all of the main circulating currencies. He hired Benjamin Dudley, a metallurgist in Boston, to run the mint, and on April 2, 1783, Dudley delivered a piece of silver coin, being the first that has been struck as an American coin, to Robert Morris. A few weeks later, he delivered several pieces of money as patterns of the intended American coins, which were presented to Congress. These coins are known as the Nova Constellation series, and they are the first coins officially minted under the authority of the U.S. government. Without further explanation, Dudley was not contracted to make any further coins and was advised to find work in the private sector. The Nova Constellation coins disappeared from the public until the 1840s. 2 coins from the set delivered to Congress were found tucked in a secret compartment of the desk of deceased Charles Thompson, Secretary of the First Congress. In 1870, a second 500-unit quint was found, the only one in the series without Nova Constellation on the obverse. In an 1875 publication, this coin is identified as obverse number 2 and came to be referred to as a type 2. But there were still 4 coins missing from the series. 2 100-unit bits turned up in the 1880s and a third specimen in the 1920s. This last bit is the most worn of the known coins and is the only one not authenticated by a third-party grading service. Last but not least, the 5-unit copper piece was found in Paris in 1977. With all of the coins found, the question remained, which was first? Which was the solitary silver coin delivered to Morris on April 2nd? Most of the numismatic community assumed that it was the 1,000-unit mark. However, there was a lot of confusion regarding the Type 2 quint. It was made from the same reverse die as the Type 1, but no one knew why it lacked the Nova Constellation legend. In 1980, prominent collector John J. Ford Jr. even suggested that it was made from a die engraved by someone different than the rest of the series. In 2017, David McCarthy solved both mysteries. After 4 years of research, it was announced in the August edition of The Numismatist that the unfortunately named Type 2 500-unit quint was, in fact, the first one struck and delivered to Morris on April 2nd. It has now been renamed to the plain obverse quint. According to McCarthy's research, David too was paid for making 2 sets of dies in early April, including those for the plain obverse quint. In May, Abraham Dubois was paid for engraving 4 sets of dies, meaning that the plain obverse was produced by a different engraver, just as Ford suspected. All of the coins have a beaded border, most of which feature large beads. However, 3 dies have smaller beads: the obverse of the plain quint, the die used for both quint reverses, and, curiously, the bit reverse. This suggests that both dies for the plain obverse quint were made at the same time, and the with legend quint obverse was engraved along with the rest of the series at a later date. The plain obverse quint is also a different weight than Morris's plan calls for, suggesting that it was created to prove that Dudley's mint was capable of minting coins, not to present to Congress as an example of Morris's system. McCarthy left very little room for doubt, making it clear to numismatists across the country that this was our first ever coin. So what became of Morris's plan? Congress never asked him to make any further coins, and none with the Nova Constellation designs were made for circulation. In 1785, Thomas Jefferson proposed a new system that took the basis of Morris's plan and simplified it. Jefferson's proposal was based on a dollar divided into 1/100th, which was approved and led to the first circulating U.S. coins in 1793. This system is still the basis of our money today, and the historical significance of the Nova Constellations was lost for decades. However, this historic set still has mysteries left to uncover. Of the 3 bits, 2 have a vine engraving on the edge and 1 doesn't. Why is that? What's more, we know from payment records that 12 total dies were engraved, but we can only account for 9 of them. What were the other 3 used for? Morris's plan called for an 8-unit piece, but one is never mentioned in old records, nor has it been found. If one exists, it would explain 2 of the unknown dies. Only time will tell what other secrets the Nova Constellations could be keeping.